Good. Excellent. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Jacqui Owen. I'm the Relationship Manager at the College of Law Queensland, and I'm joined by my colleague Tara Cush, who is a lecturer with the College of Law Queensland. So she's one of our lecturers that teaches and assesses in the practical legal training program with the College of Law. So she's going to be talking and showing you some of the resources and talking about what the assessments like and what our system looks like as well. So there's lots of information there. So thanks for joining us, Tara. But what I thought I'd do is just go over a little bit of detail about the PLT presentation. So feel free to pop questions in the chat box. I'll keep an eye on that or ask them at the end. Or if you're watching this a little bit later on, feel free to get in contact with me and ask questions. So at the moment, there'll be sort of two scenarios that we'll be talking about. So with our PLT program, our full-time program is 15 weeks and our part-time program is 30 weeks. Now, normally, both the full-time and the part-time students would come in for week one into the College of Law Queensland or one of the PLT lawyer skills weeks that we run around the state. So we do one on the Gold Coast normally, actually at Griffith, Sunshine Coast, Cairns, Townsville, Rockhampton and Toowoomba. However, with the COVID-19 situation at the moment, that face-to-face workshop has of course been moved online like everything else in the world. So I'll be talking about both at the moment. So some of you will maybe be looking to come in mid-year, and I'll give you some dates that you can do so later on. So some of you might be coming in under the COVID-19 Lawyer Skills Week online. However, if you're not coming to PLT for another year, fingers crossed the world has opened up by then and you'll be back on campus at the College of Law or at one of our regional groups doing the face-to-face workshop. So I'll talk about both today. But from Monday the 23rd of March, all Lawyer Skills Weeks have been moved to a virtual situation for that week, and then the remainder of the course is just online, exactly as it was beforehand. So much like Griffith, who's quite had a lot of experience of running a lot of the stuff online, the transition hasn't been too bad for us. So hopefully it's not a shock or big news to anyone that just having a law degree won't entitle you to be call yourself a lawyer or a solicitor. In fact, you can actually get into a bit of trouble by calling yourself a lawyer or a graduate lawyer or a solicitor or a graduate solicitor before you've been admitted. So there actually is no such thing as a graduate solicitor. You're either a law graduate or you're a solicitor or lawyer. You can't actually have both in the same sentence. You're either admitted or you're not. So before you're admitted, you would call yourself a law graduate or a law clerk, or something along those lines, paralegal, but you just can't use that word lawyer or solicitor. So to be a legal practitioner and to be able to call yourself that, you have, of course, got to have a law degree, and you also have to have a graduate diploma of legal practice, which is the qualification that a College of Law gives you on completion of your practical legal training course. You will then go through the process and present your GDLP and your law degree to the admitting body in the state in which you want to be admitted, and then go through the ceremony and the process where you'll normally stand up in court and have your admission moved. You'll then apply for your practicing certificate from the Queensland Law Society, and that's when you'll be able to call yourself a lawyer or a solicitor. Now, to maintain that practicing certificate, you do need to renew it every year, and you have to do a component of annual continuing professional development every year. So that's a certain number of hours to obtain a certain number of 10 points a year, and pay for your practicing certificate to be renewed every year. So that's the process, and we do actually do some continuing professional development as part of your PLT, just to practice that. So what is PLT? I'll say PLT because it's a little bit shorter. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's adding the practical skills you need to have to practice as a lawyer on top of your academic training that you've received from Griffith. So of course you've learnt about the law, you've learnt all the theoretical academic side of the law, and then we'll add those practical skills on top of it, and then combined that will hopefully give you the skills to be able to have confidence to practice as a newly admitted lawyer when that time comes. It is a requirement for admission in all Australian states. It's not something funny that we do in Queensland, and most jurisdictions will have some sort of a additional process to go through on top of your law degree. We're preparing you for practice, very much the start of your legal career, and so I do encourage you to give it the same love, time, commitment and effort and energy that you gave your law degree, and not treat it as a tick box. So we had this conversation the other day with another group, and we were talking about, much like everything in life, it is, PLT will get out of it what you put in, like a lot of things in life, and you really do owe it to your future clients to put the effort into your PLT, because you're gaining skills that will help you advocate and work for them in the future. So it kind of is your responsibility to those future clients to really get in and do the hard work during your PLT to be a better lawyer at the other side. That's what I think anyway. So PLT, it's got 3 separate parts, and we'll talk about each part. So the first part is coursework, the second part is work experience, and the third part is this continuing professional education component. So with the coursework, it's 15 weeks full-time or 30 weeks part-time, and what a lot of students I'm finding are asking at the moment is, when can I start? Because we're sitting around, maybe you're not able to get work experience, or you don't have as much on, you might not be working at the moment. It is a good idea, PLT is something absolutely that you could be starting sooner rather than later. However, the same rules do apply. You have to have completed, oh sorry, that's my dog. Sorry, that's Luca, completed all of your Priestley 11 core subjects and have no more than 2 electives remaining, and you have to get permission from the admitting body. So you'll go through the Queensland Practitioners Admissions Board, which is part of the Queensland Law Society, and you do an online form, you gain that permission, and then you can start PLT. And this is a rule that all PLT providers are subject to, not just the College of Law. So it's actually a law, a lot of these rules are set out by the LAC, which is the Legal Admissions Consultative Committee, a national body of committee made up of judges and retired judges, very senior people in the profession, who make the rules that govern all providers. So if that applies to you, you might like to do that. But here's the coursework option. So now, or out of COVID-19 time, the full-time course is always 15 weeks and the part-time course is 30 weeks. And a lot of the time, if you're working and have other things that you're juggling in your life, the part-time course is a great option. Now, if you're full-time or if you're part-time, the week 1 is always our lawyer skills week. So sometimes we call it the on-site, because you're literally on-site at the College of Law or one of our regional centres, and you are doing a week of full-time face-to-face workshops normally. So even the part-time course, it's Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and you're with us for that time, for example, at the College of Law on Ann Street in Brisbane. Now, at this time, that's moved online. You still do have to be with us Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So if you're thinking about doing that Lawyer Skills Week, clear your schedule. Don't try and work on one screen and PLT on the other and have two stuffs going. It won't be like uni where you go back and watch a recording and you just have that information come to you in a one-way stream. Our workshops are very interactive, and they have to be, and this is all rules that we still have to follow the same rules that the admitting bodies and the LAC lay down for us. So they're interactive. You are required to participate. Now, you won't be online 9 to 5, but you will be in a workshop interacting with your fellow students and the facilitator, which will be someone like Tara that'll be teaching you. Then you might go away and do some work, come back, regroup, do another workshop, and you'll be in and out of live online workshops for the whole day. So you very much do have to clear your schedule and give us your attention from 9 to 5. There won't be any recordings sent out because you can't be interactive in a recording. So that's how that'll work. We've had some great feedback. We haven't done any Queensland ones, but we've run them in Western Australia and Victoria so far. I think there's one running in Sydney maybe at the moment or next week. And we've had some really good feedback, and students have said it's a lot of fun. They got a lot out of it as well. There's actually a lot of people rush it. We've actually had some big numbers down south because people are like, oh, cool, I can just do it from home. So that's what's happening. If you are coming to us in another year or so, you will be doing that face-to-face again. It won't be continuing online as far as we know, because of the requirements of the admitting bodies. We'll be seeing you in person. So that's full-time and part-time, and of course you can pick any of the dates for Brisbane courses or the regional courses, whatever suits your timing the best. So here's the subjects that you'll do. So the compulsory subjects are listed there. You can see the lawyer's skills is there as well. So that's your on-site week, and then you'll choose 2 of the electives. And if you're self-funded and you're doing your PLT yourself, you can choose whatever you like, whatever you think you might be most interested in, and or where you think you'll end up. Now, the great news is, if say you don't choose a certain elective, but then you end up a couple of years later in that area. So, for example, you didn't do the family law elective, but you kind of end up there in a couple of years. Of course, you can still practice in that area, and you might like to come back to college and do one of our master's programs. So we've got some very practical master's programs that were developed for the profession, by the profession, very interactive, very practical. And if you're a College of Law graduate, having done the PLT, a master's program is normally 8 subjects, but we'll give you credit for 2 electives. So all of a sudden that's 6 subjects, which you can do one at a time over a year and a half. So that's something that people think about, maybe 3 to 5 years on average after they're admitted. If you end up working for one of the big firms, and all those big Eagle Street ones, we are actually their practical legal training provider of choice. They will, if they're paying, they'll a lot of them will say, okay, you have to do administrative law, and you can do any of the other ones, but we don't practice in criminal, we don't practice in family, we don't practice in wills and estates, so you can't do those ones, but you can choose one of the others. So it'll depend on what your situation is. And we've just had Jodie ask you a really good question. In regard to the elective subjects, do you have to have completed those courses at university to be able to do them in your PLT? No, you don't. Thanks, Tara. No, you don't. So you'll have all the resources to be able to get up to speed. Absolutely. Cool. Is there anything else you want to say about the subjects, Tara? They're very practical as well. So you're not learning the theory of them. You're learning by doing. So, for example, in the property practice subject, you will be acting for someone in a mock matter, either buying or selling a property. So you'll actually be submitting all the documents that you would do for that purchase or that deal through to your lecturer as if they were the lawyer that you were working for. That's how it works. Is there anything you wanted to add there, Tara?
I guess more so with the electives, don't be put off what you've done in undergrad. Like, for example, admin law, which we all have to do in undergrad. I must admit I found that a little bit dry in undergrad, but this time, like Jacqui said, it's very practical. So, for example, with admin law, we're doing at the moment, let me think, like we've done something like applying to dispense under the PBS, so on behalf of a pharmacy, remittance of a HEX debt. So we're doing all these sorts of things. So it's a bit more practical, definitely not as dry as undergrad, that's for sure.
And I think a lot of people, a lot of our students say, oh, I'm finally on my feet doing law, not just learning about it. So they really love the lawyer skills workshops where they are on their feet doing advocacy and mediation and those tasks, but then they really enjoy their coursework as well, where they are actually doing the documents, because sometimes it's the first time they've had the opportunity. And Tara will show you the resources. We give you really great practice papers and lots of resources. So so you're not learning the theory of it, you're actually practicing to practice, if that makes sense. So it's the closest thing you can get to being a lawyer without actually being a lawyer. And you're learning, and you can make mistakes and have feedback and have support to be able to increase your skills in a really safe environment as well. So this is what our Lawyer Skills Week looked like the other week. I think this is our Western Australian group, and I love that. I'll make down the bottom is Andrew. He's got his tie on. I think that's gorgeous. And Kevin on the third row down, he's got like suspenders on. So I reckon this was day one. They probably weren't looking as smart by the end of the week. And I was just thinking, it's not often that you can do a presentation like this with my M&M slippers on, that's for sure. So that's our Western Australian group. They're all looking very studious and taking notes and taking it all in. And as I said, we've had some great feedback from the groups that have gone through in some of the other states, that they really enjoyed it, and it was a great way to learn. They still had that interaction with each other and with their lecturers as well. So that's what it'll kind of look like. So Tara, you might like to have a chat about this slide. What's happening here? It looks very exciting.
Yes, very exciting, because it's civil litigation. So we divide all our activities, they make up a task basically. So sometimes you may have 2 activities in a task. With civil, primarily with civil, you've got 3 activities to a task. So what we do is we use the same fact scenario for task 1 and task 3. So you can pretty much go from advising the client on prospects to drafting your claim and statement of claim, and then something that, you know, most solicitors don't really get to do is then enforcement once judgment's been entered. So with task 1 and task 3, which I said are the same fact scenarios. So I guess focusing on task 1, you've got your activity 1.1, which we introduced you to the proof-making model, which is all about separating facts from evidence and working out what exactly it is that we need to establish for the client to be successful. Then once we get that straight in our heads, we then go and draft the letter of advice, on prospects for the client. And then we get down to drafting the claim and statement of claim. Can I just say, with the proof-making model too, I have had a lot of students come back and say, I use this in practice. There's one particular student who is involved with the RSPCA as a prosecutor, and she's told me that she, anyone she comes across that she's training up, she shows them this proof-making model. So it's all about getting your facts and the evidence and working out what you actually need to establish to be successful.
Excellent. And then this is some feedback, I believe, from this is what the so you'll submit stuff to your lecturer, and your lecturer will have several different ways of leaving you feedback, and all these are done on satisfactory or non-satisfactory, or competent, non-competent, and they'll be build up. So do you want to explain what the feedback's like, Tara, how that works?
Yep. So we're continuing on with civil litigation. This is your activity 1.2, which is your letter of advice. So prospects basically to your client. Feedback wise, as you can probably see from the screen, you've got a few choices. So Jim there, when he was providing feedback, he used that way. You'll find most lecturers use probably all different ways all at once, which I'm a bit of a fiend for that. So I do what Jim does to try to, point you specifically to what's, I guess, you need to have a bit more of a think about. There's assignment comments that you might be able to see down the side there. So sometimes we might write, a few more pointers for you there. I attach diagrams there. I'm a maniac for diagrams to try to help in explaining, what we're trying to establish in each activity. So that gives you a chance to attach diagram, or you can attach a video, or you can attach audio feedback as well. Also, we do also get the chance to download your actual submission, and we can do track changes in that submission and then upload them through the assignment comments as well. So there's numerous ways, and we appreciate some ways work better for different students. So we try to keep our options open.
Absolutely. And then you'll take that feedback and you'll resubmit the work and hopefully be confident on that second go. So what you'll do is you'll work through all the tasks of each activity, and then you'll get to the end of that particular subject. You'll do an online quiz that tells us that you're ready to do the final assessment, and then your final assessment will be an oral exam. So the good news is there's no more terrible 3-hour written exams where you end up with a big cramp in your writing hand. It will be much quicker than that, and you'll be face-to-face, screen-to-screen with Tara or one of our other assessors, and you'll go through the work and reflect on that. So did you want to talk about the assessment and what that's a bit like?
Yeah. So with your oral assessment, it's 100% of your marks. So you may ask, why do we bother with the activities? But the reason for the activities is to help you develop your skills, so you're in a position to participate in the oral assessment, and obviously when we let you loose into the big bad outside world as well. So it's important that, particularly take into account the feedback provided, because that's, once again, another building block getting you ready for that oral assessment. So, like I said, 100% of your grade is the oral assessment. It's usually about 45 minutes in length. It can be a little bit shorter depending, if you're really on the ball and we can sort of get through it pretty quickly. Sometimes it can be a bit longer, but around about 45 minutes, you're able to sign up for a specific time. There are set dates, but you can choose your time as long as someone doesn't get in before you. And you can sign up pretty much probably about 2 weeks into the subject. And then it's a matter of, if having done all these building block activities, if you're not considered competent, you can then complete your oral assessment in a catch-up session from there as well. What else can I tell you? That
lecturers are also pretty good if something happens at work and you have to go to court and you've got stuff due, you just talk to your lecturer, don't you?
Yeah, so we're pretty flexible with respect to your actual submissions of your activities. You do have due dates, but like Jacqui said, we appreciate that, there's more to your life than just PLT, basically. So as long as you contact your lecturer, I usually ask my students at least the day before, but I know emergencies pop up. As long as they give me an email and just explain why they need an extension, when they think they'll be able to submit by, myself and the other lecturers are pretty understanding from that point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and this is actually what's this video? It's showing you how to do something exciting, isn't it?
So once again, we're in civil litigation, and this is to do with task 2 in civil litigation. So you have to draft your court documents. So you have to draft an application and an affidavit. Then you have to prepare written submissions. Then the next activity is to actually then we go and do a hearing. It's not quite as impressive as on the screen there, but your assessor in your oral assessment will be the judge, and you'll be the solicitor. And so you'll be presenting your oral submissions based on those written submissions as a part of your oral assessment for civil.
And do you like being called Your Honour during all those assessments?
Yes, it's very important. And not only does it give us a thrill, but also it gets you ready for real life again, to get you into, I guess, a bit of a rhythm of, if I'm in court, I have to be saying Your Honour, and being careful of how I phrase things and word things as well. So with the video, it basically just takes you through your hearing step by step. So obviously, you need to mention your matter, announce your appearance, then read your materials, then basically then go into your submissions. This is also based on something that you do in your lawyer's skills, in that we do a couple of days of advocacy. So you learn all this in advocacy, and then you get to put it into action into civil litigation from there.
I love talking to students at the end of the second day of advocacy, or by the Thursday afternoon, and a lot of students will sometimes say, you know what, to be honest, I was a little bit nervous about the advocacy because, we might not have done it at uni, but I really loved it and it was great. And actually, I think I'm going to try, and find a job where I am going to court, or I probably will have to, and I'm not so nervous about it. I'm looking forward to it. And it gives them a lot of confidence. And I have had students say to me, you know what, first of all, I was like, no, I never want to go to court. I want to do other types of law where I'm out of court, more contracts or whatever. But I think it's really lovely to see the progression of students' confidence through those 2 days. Don't you think so? And they're a lot more positive about it by the time they get to the end of that second day.
Yeah, it's like you said before, it's a good description. It's a safe place.
Yep.
Everyone's learning. You're not active for a real client, so you don't have that added pressure. You don't have, a supervisor that you don't want to disappoint. It's just about finding your feet, and then applying that as well. Absolutely. From there.
Raj has got a question here. Do you guys provide job placements after PLT course? Raj, we don't. We find that a lot of our students have a job as well already. But we do have a jobs board. So we get a lot of employers coming to us, some of them quite regularly, looking for students who are doing their PLT, and we will advertise it on the College of Law jobs board. There is 0 up there at the moment, obviously, because a lot of PLT placements have been pulled due to not being able to supervise them appropriately. But usually there's a fair number of those available on the jobs board to assist. So that's how that works. So you'll go on there, and then your application will go directly through to the firm or the organisation. We don't, which is good. It means that, one, the employer's not getting a billion applications like they do on Seek and having to weed out the crazies. It is going out to just the appropriate audience, PLT, so they'll get a fewer number but much better quality of applications. They also know that if you're doing the College of Law practical legal training, you'll have a certain level of skill, and it's not, okay, you go and work there, you go and work there. There's a negotiation. They'll get to select you like they would in a normal process. So that's how it works at College of Law. So there's opportunities that come through to us, and we have that online. So hopefully that answers that question. What we might do is actually, that's a great segue, thanks for that, Raj. We'll move on to talking about the work experience component. So coursework is the first component. So I like to say to students on the first day, imagine the College of Law system with your name up the top, and then a checkbox for coursework, a checkbox for work experience, and a checkbox for CPD. And by the end of the course, you've got to have ticked off that, and ticked off that. So coursework is one separate component. Work experience is the second component. Now, there's two formats, and you can choose whichever you would like to do. The standard format is 75 days of work experience. Now, the great news is 60 of those days can have already been completed in the 2 years prior to you commencing PLT. So let's just say you might be looking to come in June or July of this year, 2020, the crazy year that it is. If you look back to, and doesn't life before COVID-19 just seem like a different universe away? Like it was such a long time away. But from June, July 2018 through till June, July this year when you start, if you can find 60 days of legal work experience that meets the criteria, you can nominate that to go towards those 75 days. The final 15 days has to be done during PLT or in the 2 years after. Now, I've been talking to Sean and your executive members of the Law Student Society, and I know that there is a lot of uncertainty and a little bit of trepidation about work experience and jobs. I think at the moment it's hard because it's hard to take on volunteers or unpaid positions because you can't go, oh, here's a laptop, go home and we'll supervise you. That really does need to be done face to face. So while there is less opportunity now, I think that once the world opens up, lawyers are actually going to be very busy. So, property deals, for example, while they might not be happening because you can't actually go and look at houses or whatever, stuff will pick up very quickly, and lawyers need to be involved in pretty much all the big transactions of life, don't they, Tara? Like whether it's family stuff or, and unfortunately, there's probably going to be a bit of DV stuff to deal with after this. Property or wills and estates or whatever it is. Apparently the wills and estates lawyers are very busy at the moment because everyone's maybe looking into their mortality and thinking, oh, crap, I haven't got that organised. We actually need to do ours, note to self. So the jobs are going to be there, and use this time to prepare your resume, to work on your LinkedIn, to do other webinars and skills to build up your soft skills or your other skills as best you can, so that you are really well prepared. And we've got a bunch of webinars and seminars that I've been feeding through to Samuel and the team, and they're letting you know about those. But certainly I'll give you my LinkedIn for you to connect with me directly. Keep involved with what the College of Law is doing, and we are going to be doing some webinars. I just got Griffith and UQ mixed up because I was talking to UQ earlier. I was talking to the UQ guys about this. We are going to be doing some webinars about who is hiring, what the state of the job market is, what it potentially will be like after COVID-19. So I'll let Samuel and the guys know about that, and I'd love you to join us. So this is a criteria. You may have already done some of it already, which is great. You might have something lined up for afterwards. You might be still lucky to be still working in a legal role, but you have 2 years in which to complete it. So I just don't want you to stress about it if there's nothing available at the moment. You have plenty of time. This isn't going to last forever. The profession will bounce back. There will be opportunities. So deal with what you can do now, and then worry about those other the other things like work experience after the fact. So you've got a lot on your plate at the moment and a lot to worry about. So I just want to take that bit of anxiety away. But the standard format is what you'll do for 75 days for the standard format. The short format's 15 days of work experience with an extra subject called our clinical experience module. And those 15 days have to be done, much like the final 15 days of the standard work experience, both of either the whole 15 days or the final 15 days has to be done during PLT or in the 2 years after PLT. So plenty of time to do that. The clinical experience module you enroll in after you've done your 15 days of work experience, and that is a reflection on the work that you've done. So that's why you enroll afterwards. And there's a couple of other things you have to do there as well. The standard work experience, you do a reflective journal, but it's not as in-depth as the short format, because the short format, the clinical experience module replaces those first 60 days. So those are your options. The rules, we are allowing remote work if you are still working in a legal role at the moment, and we've developed some special sign-off forms to allow you to track how you're being supervised and what sort of work you're doing. So work is certainly still happening, and I know some students who have started, PLT students who have started roles during this time. So, yeah, you'll be able to pick. Does one day of prior work experience constitute 9 to 5? Yes, it does, Melissa. Great question. So a full day is a 7-hour day. You can also do half days. So you could do it, if you've done at least 4 days, you could do 4 hours on a Monday and 4 hours on a Tuesday, and you can put those together to be 1 day as well. Your first 60 days, and I go into this a bit more detail than I usually go into. We talk about this, what you start. The first 60 days you can do it 1 day a week. Once you get to your final 15 during PLT, you have to be doing that at 2 days a week, and you can do it at 2 full days or 4 half days. But yeah, if you've done a 9 to 5 with a lunch break, that's a full day. Good question though.
I'm wondering if Melissa's been working 9 until 9 and
Unfortunately, if you do a horrendous 14-hour day, it only still counts as 1 day. Hopefully you're not though. Yeah, it's tempting, isn't it? Like even last night I was just replying to a few emails after I got back from my walk, and then I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's dinner time, and time to not be at work. So it is you've got to very much separate your work and home at the moment. I'm working 2 days a week before COVID happened. Yeah, absolutely, Melissa. You'll be able to count those. If you are going to be starting within 2 years of that work, you'll be able to count that. And you might actually, I'll talk to you about forms in a moment. You can actually be putting the forms in now. So what counts? Summer clerkships, paralegal work, volunteering at community legal centres, all these things. A lot of people do judges, associate positions. So we're looking to see that you've had contact with your clients, either external or internal. You've drafted documents, you've done legal research, and you've used a file management system. So that's the sort of work that we're looking. So not the administrative roles. It has to actually be in the provision of legal services. So we know you're not giving the advice, but you are doing that work that supports lawyers to give that advice. Now, so Melissa, this is what I was talking about. If you finished at that role and you want to get some of those days signed off, you can put your pre-approval in now. So you can have as many employers, and I saw a girl that got signed off this week. She had 24 days, and 27 days at 3 different employers. But you need a set of forms at each employer signed off by your supervisor at that firm. And so if you've done stuff, so say you did a bit of stuff over summer, it might be 20 days, for example, get an application form in that. So you sign it, your supervisor signs it, and that's saying, hey, college, this is the work I am going to be doing, even though sometimes it's retrospective. This is who's supervising me. They come back and say, yep, that's good. Once you've finished that placement, or you've you've met the required number of days, you'll complete the declaration form, you'll sign it, your supervisor has to be the same person because it's the person signing you off, not the organisation, and you'll say, hey, college, I finished and here's my forms. You don't have to fill in a log or a minute by minute, 6 minute by 6 minute what you were doing. You just need to say, I feel that I meet the rules. Your supervisor will say, yes, me as a legal practitioner do vouch that this person has met the rules set out by the Legal Admissions Practitioners Board and have done all the stuff that they're supposed to do at a standard that I would be happy for them to come into the profession. If you're doing the 75 days, you also do a reflective journal. If you are doing the 15 short one, you will then enroll in the next subject. But you could be on your first day of PLT and already have forms sitting there on your profile with 60 days signed off, and I do talk to people. So any questions about work experience? And I'm happy if anyone wants to contact me after to talk about their specific. So pretty much if you're doing the standard, you can claim 1 day a week. Before PLT, 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 days a week. Once you get to the final 15 days during PLT, you have to be doing at least 2 days a week. And then part-time students, there's a restriction on how many you can do. But we go into that once you start here. Some people start with 60 days already done. Some people start with 0 and everything in between. So don't worry if you haven't got any work experience before you start your PLT. There's plenty of time. So the third component, once we've done coursework, we're doing our work experience. At the same time, you'll be doing CPE. So your CPE, you can choose to do whatever you want to do. So basically, you just need 10 points, and you sign a form to say you've done it. You could do our 10 modules in our legal business skills modules. If you do all 10, you get a certificate of legal business skills. If you're working and going to stuff with work, you can use that, or we give you access to online seminars. And so basically you can just chop and choose and do whatever you want there, but you just have to do that, and we give you heaps of information. So tips for fast tracking. If you can get some work experience in your final 2 years before you start PLT, then that's great. That'll count. Register that work experience as you do it. I'd register it as you do it, because it might be a year and a half later and they go, who are you again? We've had so many work experience people since then. So just get it done, and then it's sitting on file with college before you even get there. And there's the short option if you so choose. Now, there is an extra cost for that. It's $1,500. So obviously it's a little bit cheaper for you to do the 75 days. And we would rather you had a nice holiday or bought some shoes or something fabulous like that, rather than come and do the short format. But it's there to help people if that is more convenient or quicker for you. It's absolutely up to you what you choose to do. So here's some reasons, apart from just Tara and I are fabulous and you want to come and hang out with us, to choose College of Law. It's very, very, very practical, and that's what all our grads say. We really loved it. It was task-based learning. You're practicing being a lawyer in a safe and secure and supportive environment, and they really love that. We're the only provider of the legal business skills. It's very much hands-on learning, so you're learning by doing, and you can structure your learning so that first week you're with us for that week. But other than that, as long as you've got internet connection and a computer, you're doing all your work and submitting it by the due dates, but in and around work and other commitments that you might have. So very, very flexible, very aligned with the legal industry. The College of Law exists 100% only to train lawyers. We don't do undergraduate degrees. We don't do anything like that. We just do the practical legal training. We do CPD. We do a legal practice management course, which is what you need to hang out your own shingle or to be a partner. And we do the master's programs as well. Raj, I am going to answer that question. Just let me sing out to my husband to get me that. Hey, John.
And whilst Jackie's doing that, I just wanted to say, because we were talking about all this work experience side of things, don't feel that, you know, you can't come into PLT without any practical experience. It's the idea of PLT is to provide you with that foundation to, you know, it's the to fill that gap between undergrad and moving into employment as a solicitor. So don't feel that, you know, you may be at a disadvantage in getting your head around what we're teaching if you don't have any previous work experience in the legal field.
Absolutely. Yeah, very aligned with the legal industry, great lecturer support, very small lecturer to student numbers, and as I mentioned, we support you all the way through. So Raja's just asked a question about breakdown of course fees, great question. Just had to go and get the handbook, which is in the other room. This is available online, so I'll send you an email with the link to this recording, and also you can download this off our website. Now, Australian citizens and permanent residents. If you do the PLT course is, and this is current now, these do get reviewed from time to time, like every year. So this is the 2020 costs. If you're doing it in 2021 or 2022, it might be slightly different, but your PLT is $9,640 for Australian citizens and permanent residents. If you do the short format, it's an extra $1,500 for that, so that brings it to $11,170. Overseas and international students, it's $13,910 to be exact, for just PLT, and then add the $1,500, $15,440 with the short format. And Australian citizens can put it on their fee help. So fee help is the equivalent to your current HECS. It's a different pot of money for your postgrad, so you can put that. But all that information about costs and everything are up on our website and available in the handbook. So I'll send that link as well. Hopefully that answered that question. Okay, here are some course dates, and we've got a new one for you. So it might be a little bit too early for some of you, but tell your friends that are already graduated and are ready for PLT due to popular demand, which means everyone's sitting at home wanting stuff to do. We are bringing in a new full-time course starting on the 18th of May, but we then have a full-time one on the 15th of June. We have a part-time on the 11th of May, 20th of July, 27th of July, 28th of September, 12th of October. There will also be November dates, and there will also be some and then we go into, there's January and February, March dates. So we, as you can see, we have courses starting all the time. We also, if anyone's watching from the Gold Coast, we do, and obviously these are all online, so these dates will work for anyone at the moment. So as advertised, we have, usually we send lecturers out to Cairns, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, Townsville, Toowoomba and Rockhampton to do that Lawyer Skills Week. So 22nd of June, there'll be that intake as well. And then part-time's the same, just with a different end date. Here's some we prepared earlier. All our grads constantly tell us when we meet them out in the profession that they loved College of Law. It's very practical, great resources. They still use their practice papers all the time, or their resources that we give them. I've had some people say, you know what, I don't have any of my uni books in my office, but I've got all my College of Law stuff, and I do refer to it if it's something that I don't do that often. Great news is you don't have to go out and buy any books. There's no trotting to the bookshop and spending hundreds of dollars on books. Everything's provided by College of Law. Now that's my contact details. So by the magic of technology, I'm still available on that office number. You can email me at jowen@collaw.edu.au. I'd really love it if you connected with me on LinkedIn. as I said, we're doing so many webinars and stuff at the moment. So I've been popping all the links and the information out on my LinkedIn, and the College of Law is also putting it on social media. So our student services team can be reached on 1300 856 111 or at enrolments@collaw.edu.au. But also follow the College Law on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I think we do, LinkedIn, and we do Instagram at the moment. That's just brand new apparently. So before we I'll get Tara to share her screen and show you the behind the scenes at the College of Law. Does anyone have any questions that they want me to desperately answer before we do that? Just end that slideshow. So you should be able to share your screen, Tara, and then we can have a look at what it looks like.
Let's see.
When you log on.
Oh, I can't whilst you're still sharing.
Oh, I thought sorry. Stop share. There we go.
Ah, there we
Sorry.
go. That's all right. Now, though, it's not letting me do it. Hang on a minute.
So sort of hover.
Oh, here we go. Sorry.
That's down the bottom, yeah.
Yep. All good. All right.
There we go. I can see it. It's property practice.
Yes. So, I'll just get rid of you guys a little bit. So, with this, I can actually do the student view, Jacqui.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you want me to do that?
Yeah. If you think that'd be easier.
I'm
getting LinkedIn requests. I love it.
All right. So this is what you guys get to see. Now we've got all the assignments that you'll have to do. So this is for my course that's just finished. So obviously the due dates are past. But this is just so you get a bit of an idea of, a running list, basically, of what's due for each subject. Then you've got your oral assessment, your multiple choice, those sorts of things. So that's just a bit, like I said, a bit of a running list. And on the side, when the course is actually going, there'll be a summary of due dates for you to tell you when each activity is due.
And you can see the calendar there as well.
Well, yeah. Yes. So obviously, once again, because the subject's finished, actually, I'll go back. So, yeah. So you might only just be able to see that. But, yeah, there you go. That's a bit better. So that's your calendar of when things are due, reminding you to book a date for the oral assessment. I don't think I mentioned before, Jacqui, that the oral assessment, oh no, you mentioned it, didn't you, that it's via web conference, so yeah. As well. Now, if I just go back to property, just to show you a little bit more, see that's our WebEx conferences where you do your oral assessment through, your grades, all important grades, and that's where you can also access your feedback as well, so that you can see once you've finished and submitted your activities. Feedback happens pretty quickly. We aim
if you get your stuff in on time. Hey, Tara.
True, that's true.
If you're late, you go back to the back of the line.
That's a good qualifier.
Just saying.
But I like to, and I know it's a bit of our sort of a rule amongst the lecturers, that before the next activity is due, next set of activities, that you should have already had your feedback for, the previous activity. So with for example, property law, you could have 4 activities due in a week. Ethics and civil a little bit more spread out. But once we sort of hit property law, commercial, corporate, electives, you know, the home run, the number of activities that are due does increase. So just to give you a bit of a heads up, let's go, I just want to show you. So this is what you'll see about an activity. So activity 1.2 is a letter of advice. You have a file that you go into and have a look at. So that, you know, it's basically like a proper file. You go in, you get your instructions, you've got your contract, you've got your title search, those sorts of things. And then we scroll down, we give you some links to the Brisbane City Plan, but I guess more importantly, well, just as important, I should say, are your activity resources. So we divide them into your essential resources. There's some notes there. Like I said before, I'm a maniac for a diagram. So I've done a diagram for property law to break down planning and assessment, those sorts of things. There's case studies, so applying the facts, applying the law to the facts. So you see how they all interrelate before you have to actually do your letter. And then we've got access to the practice papers as well. So I'll just show you here. So they get updated every year. So you'll have the most up-to-date information at your fingertips, that's for sure. I'll just scroll down quickly because I'm aware that
and these, you get access to these online as well, don't you, Tara? So at the moment, students are accessing them online, which means they're very up to date.
Yes, that's right. So, I mean, look, some of the practice papers, there are a lot of pages in them, but as you can see, we make recommendations for you about what you should be focusing upon. So don't be put off if you sort of open, you know, a practice paper and see that it's got a bit of length to it. There's also worked examples in those practice papers as well. So yeah, basically, if you shouldn't need to go anywhere else but the College of Law website to get all your resources for each and every activity. Sometimes, you know, you may want to have a little meander elsewhere, but there should be no need for you to do so. It's all there, all just a click away, basically.
Melissa's just asked a good question, Tara, as well. Does the College of Law give out a numbered result, or is it just pass, fail, a pass that's given out for each assessment? It's competent, not competent for the activities leading up to the final assessment, but the final assessment, that's the one that's worth 100% of the actual mark. That's pass, distinction, high distinction, isn't it?
Just like the undergrad.
Do you want to show the rubric? Is that, because that has...
I can, if I remember.
we had a look at it at the earlier session with Anita, and it... So your oral assessment. So this is a good, I always hear, because I can hear the that's a video showing one of our Sydney PLT head of PLT down there doing a mock assessment. So that's what it looks like. But I always hear, because I can hear the assessments always in the next room at my desk, we always start with saying, have you had a look at the rubric? I hear that a lot. Ian says that a lot. Have you had a look at the rubric?
He does. So, yeah, this is available for each and every subject. So you know what you're going to be assessed on. I like to also provide my students with a bit of a summary of these criteria, but also maybe what to focus upon. as well, when you're preparing for your oral assessment. So, as well. So just quickly taking you through this one with property law. Task 3, we actually do a settlement in our oral assessment for property law. So that's what task 3 is all about. And that's the first part of your oral assessment. We do a bit of reflection, things like really what activity you felt you got your head around, what activity you felt you didn't, whether you've had any experience, whether it be just personal experience or work experience in this area. Task 1, you had to draft the contract and that letter of advice that I was just showing you. So property law is really about all your standard terms and getting your head around those in the contract, the mortgage, the lease. Task 2, we get you to draft a priority notice. Your Form 1 transfer, your Form 24, so, something that conveyancing clerks have to do. And then we introduce you to mortgages and a lease as well. Then I like to call this our general knowledge criteria, but it's not worth double points. And we then turn our minds to land use. So, for example, that diagram I quickly showed you about planning, development, those sorts of things. Then revenue implications, so transfer duty, which used to be stamp duty, land tax, anything that a purchaser may have to turn their mind to. And then each and every subject, there's ethics and professional responsibility question, criteria, that you should turn your mind to and, apply it to the particular subject which we're completing. So I just want to show you one other thing before I hand back to you, Jacqui. This thing called announcements. And I'm sure my past students are sick of hearing from me and sick of me going, have you read the announcement?
They're there for a reason, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. But some students or some lecturers, will call this feed forward. So basically, this is what you need to focus on for the activities in this task. So I like to tell you when it's actually due, and then I break it all down. And really, I would start with this, frankly, for each and every activity of mine, because it provides you a bit more guidance, as well as obviously what's in the portal as well. I do a bit of a summary. Like I keep saying, I'm a maniac for diagrams, so I'll put them in an announcement. Little bits and pieces that are relevant to what you need to do as well.
So basically, if you are taking the time to look at the feed forwards announcements, going through the rubric, you'll know exactly what to do, and then all the resources are there. So it's about spending the time to plan out what you should be doing and what you should be learning and what you should be including, and then making sure you're ticking that all off, and hopefully you can't go wrong. And there's nothing in the assessment that will be a surprise as well. So
no.
It's all what is in the assessment. Dominic's got a good question here. Hi, Dominic. Do students need to feel rushed to complete the PLT right after graduation, or can they graduate and take an extended break before they enrol into the PLT program? That is completely up to you. If you so some people want to like, oh my God, I finish on Friday, I need to start on Monday, and we do have people do that. I personally, this is probably a Jacqui opinion, I think you need a little break, whether it's a month, whether it's 2 months, whether you want to take a year. It's whatever is right for your career and your your wellness, recharge your batteries. I think coming into it pretty much a week or 2 weeks is hardcore. However, some people are like, no, I need to keep going. I need to go with the flow. Some people want to go and do a European, you know, tour, whatever they want to call it. But between, just remember though, it's the date that you start PLT that we retrospectively look back for that 60 days of work experience. So if you do take a big, so say you've worked for 2 years, and you might have done 30 days in 1 year and 30 days in another. If you then wait a year, you've lost that first 30 days because it's more than 2 years. So do what's right for you and your situation. It depends how you're feeling. Some people come in the next week, some people take, but I think you've got, there's no stale qualification rule in Queensland at this time. Other states, you have to do it within 10 years of your degree. Otherwise, then they'll want to assess your degree again. Yeah, it's up to you.
I took 12 months off.
Yeah, nice. And you know, and it'll depend on your situation. And I will say that because I've been threatening to do my master's when did I finish uni? 1995. And I'm pretty much can honestly tell you I'm probably not going to do it because it's too, you know, it's hard to go back to study once you've finished. But I'd say, yeah, give yourself a little break. Wouldn't you say, Tara? You know, even if it's a month or 2 months or 6 months or whatever, recharge your batteries and then come. But some people will be like, no, I want to get going straight away. So,
like you said, Jacqui, it's just your circumstances, what you want to do.
And some people will do it all at once. Some people will be working, doing PLT, and they'll get it all. Some people will be like, no, they might have kids or other obligations, or sometimes they're working to pay the mortgage or the rent in a non-legal job. So they might go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do my coursework, and then I'm actually going to take leave from my job and go and they'll do, say, the 15-day short format, and they'll go and do a volunteer role. Or some people might like, okay, well, I can do that over a year, 6 months. I'll do a week, and then I'll go back to work, and then I'll take another week off because they've got to actually take their leave to go and, so they might be working as a mortgage broker. We have people that are then going to go into property law, but because there's no legal part at their job, they've got to go external. So that works for them. So it might take them longer to do their 15 days than if you were working and studying at the same time. So I love that the College of Law program works for different people's circumstances, because what's right for you might not be right for the person doing it at the same time sitting next to you. So make it work for you and put it in, and you know, and if you are eligible to start early, or you're finishing your semester, now's a great time to go, oh, okay, well, I can't get a job, I might as well do my PLT coursework. And how amazing, what an opportunity, silver linings, hashtag, to be able to focus on just the coursework and then worry about your work experience afterwards. Sometimes people are doing that at the same time, and it's quite stressful. It's doable, very manageable, but it is full on. So a silver lining might be that you do have time to just do your coursework, and then, you know, when the world opens up again, just do your work experience. So it's completely up to you. Some people, though, I reckon they start, especially at the end of the year, it's like, oh my God, I finished and I need to get into the November course because I need to be admitted by this time. I'm like, why don't you have a break over Christmas and start in January? No, don't want to wait. So anyway, make sure you're, you know, maybe have a minute to breathe and recharge and come in, because we don't want to burn you out as well. And also, I think full-time or part-time, you can change. You've usually got to the end of the first week to change with no fee. However, if you are working, especially if you're working full-time, we do recommend doing the part-time course as well, because it's a marathon, not a sprint, your legal career.
Yep. Many students do both full-time, and we understand that has to happen sometimes, but there's a lot of stress involved, I have to say.
Yeah, I know. But it is up to you guys. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our planned presentation. Really excited that so many of you got to join us. There's Sam, who's jumped up again.
Yeah. Oh, I just wanted to say before you finish off, thanks so much for running the presentation, and thank you as well, Tara, for joining in. It was obviously very informative, and it's great that we could still do it externally.
Yeah, I actually really love this format. It might be something that we look at going forward. I mean, I like to come to campus too, but we can always do panels and other fun stuff on campus and do this sort of stuff. I mean, it's really great to be able to have our lecturers join us. That's something you've been doing during this time, and I'm really liking it because I'm learning a lot, because I'm not a lecturer, so I don't see the Tara screen like that. So I'm like, oh, what's that?
You're learning as we are too.
I'm learning as you. Yeah, it's all about learning.
I like it.
Can I say I'm Griffith through and through? I did my undergrad at Nathan, or my 2 undergrad degrees. I did my postgrad at Nathan. So when Jacqui said that, I had the chance to talk to you guys, I went, yes, that's me.
I sent out a lecture. I mentioned it in a meeting, and within about 5 minutes, I had an email from Tara going, "Pick me."
That's great. Well, we're happy to have you, Tara, and I hope you refuse to do UQ's presentation and QUTs as a result.
We don't do
I don't. I only do Griffith.
Fantastic. That's what we want to hear.
QUT won't let us do them because they do their own PLT. So I did a year at Griffith. I was at Griffith in 1991 because I'm 1,000 years old.
A little bit ago.
Yeah, and there was many less buildings there, I can tell you.
Yeah, they just keep popping up even now.
They do actually. No, I love coming to both the Griffith campuses. They're beautiful. So nice buildings, amazing facilities, that's for sure. You guys are very lucky. All right. Oh, thanks, Emma. Emma's just saying she liked the new format. So, yeah, Emma's been to a few of these. She used to organise them last year. So, that's good. Yeah. No, sometimes we've had in the past, we've had grads that there's one of the in-house council on the Nathan campus sometimes comes and chats about it. And that's really good. I love that perspective as well about what it's actually like to do the course. But I actually really like the lecturers showing the behind the scenes stuff and talking about the course from that student lecturer point of view. I think that's important, and hearing about and seeing all the resources and the support, and just meeting one of our lecturers and seeing how approachable and friendly and supportive they are. So cool. All right. Well, I hope you're all keeping safe and keeping home and keeping well as well. Please tune in to Sam. I'll keep feeding with all those webinars through to you, and you can let all the guys know. And we're here. The College of Law is here to support you during this time. So if anyone has any ideas about, hey, wouldn't it be good to have a chat about this, a certain topic or a certain thing happening in the profession, or if it is like that's how this next UQ webinar is going to go, then I'll invite everyone to. But it was like, you know what, we're all feeling a little bit nervous about the job market. So I was like, well, hey, let's have a webinar and chat about it and just, calm that anxiety, because it's something, one less thing that. So if you guys are thinking about anything, feed it through to Sam or Sabrine or the team, or come to me directly, and I'd love to keep chatting. Give me something to do. I need more work. Not really, but I'd love. My favourite thing is engaging with you guys. So if you think about anything, cool. All right.
Fantastic.
Let's all get up and stretch our legs and maybe have some lunch. And I'll look forward to chatting to you too, Sam. Thanks again, Tara and Sabrine and Emma and all the gang. And, keep in touch and keep safe.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jacqui, and thanks again, Tara.
Thanks, guys. Have a great afternoon. Bye.
Later.